All right. Good morning, Creatively Awakened Collective. I am here this morning with Melissa. Hi, Melissa.
Hello.
And we're going to chat a little bit about the healing that creativity can bring. I know this has been a topic in this group lately, and so I've been doing a bunch of interviews, and I'm glad that I'm so excited that Melissa is going to join us because she has a really kind of unique perspective and a lot of wisdom, and I'll let you share about that in a moment. But for those of you who haven't met me, I am Mara, and I'm a creativity coach, and I guide the creatively curious to awaken their creative, passionate selves so we can live a more fully expressed life. And I know Melissa kind of has a similar mission in life, but from a little bit of a different perspective. And why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, so my journey onto this path actually began as a traditional physician. I'm a family medicine physician by training. And I would have to say that my connection to creativity back in the day, we're talking like 15 years ago, was I didn't quite get it until I had an experience in my own body that led me to see how everything was connected and really recognize how I was creating a lot of craziness in my life. And physically and emotionally, literally, because in relationship to all the stressors I was experiencing and how I was choosing to connect to those stressors. And so through the experience of opening to a new way of seeing my body and my creativity, literally, and it led me on a healing journey that was both personal and professional. So I first opened up into the mind-body connection and then took it to the level of spirit when I began studying Chinese medicine and Chinese energy medicine. And yeah, that's where it all began in terms of opening up to that deeper level of how, I'll just say it this way. So when I went to my first training, I came even through Chinese medicine, not a traditional way. It was from the kind of the top down, from the spirit level down. And at the very first training that I was at, there was a journal that we received. On the front of it. It said, from the spiritual perspective, there is no disease or illness. There's only undiscovered purpose.
Whoa.
So, yeah, right? So in that moment, I was like, I don't know what this means yet, but okay, I get it. And thus began the journey of really, like what you were speaking to. I'm really becoming curious about if that's true, that my spirit is creating, that I'm co-creating this experience for myself. What does that mean? You know, what is possible in terms of how that opens up healing at every level, spirit, mind, and body, when we connect at that level.
Whew. Can you say that quote again?
Yeah. From the spiritual perspective, there is no disease or illness. There is only undiscovered purpose. Yeah.
That's juicy.
It is juicy. Yeah. So, I mean, with that said, it's like everything that we experience, whether it's through the symptoms that are happening in our body or the experiences we're drawing into our lives, is our spirit's creativity. And it holds a message, it holds a purpose. So, first of all, just opening up to that possibility and then tapping into, wow, what does that mean for me becoming a conscious co-creator of my own experience?
Yeah, I love that. And I'm so glad that you shared that quote. And I've definitely, I mean, creativity for me has always felt sort of like a life or death thing, is that when I feel really blocked, and I've been studying just the mind body connection for a lot of years, like 12 years now, and just noticing in myself that when like my mind is out of balance or I'm stressed out, like how much that just wreaks havoc on the body. And then to actually take a step further and bring spirit into it, that when I'm not doing something that feels creative or inspiring or something I can really kind of like invest my soul into, that I feel like almost dead inside. And I feel like that is really like speaking to what that quote is. And I'm wondering if you could share like how you feel when you're not aligned in that creative flow.
Yeah. Yeah. So to speak to both sides of what you were saying, like you have that side of what stress, when we get really, really stressed, how that blocks creative flow, and what that feels like. In Chinese medicine, the organ system that energetically, functionally, spiritually, emotionally helps us to process stress is our liver and our gallbladder. And that organ system also is about expression and creativity. It does not like to be blocked. So there's different reasons why we may block it. It could be just, stressors that we're experiencing in life, or we just can't even access that. It could be that, we feel like we're not allowed, like maybe we're too big. It's too much for us to fully show up in who we are. Right?
What is that?
What I am is I'm a lot of different things, and sometimes I'm a superhero. This is a co-creative project between my 5-year-old daughter and I. So having young children, I'm going to just leave these on for a minute because I want to
Leave it on for the rest of the call.
I'm bold enough. So the idea that we are gifted with this intuitive, deep connection with our creative expression, and our souls flow, both sides of that, right? I mean, just naturally as children, that's just what we're drawn to. We don't want to do stuff that bores us. It's like when we don't want to do stuff that makes us mad. And if it makes us mad, we're going to have a tantrum, which helps us to move through that energy. So it's like, our connection to that intuitive child that's within all of us, that's still inside of there, is such a powerful gift. So like, it's like to witness my children is awesome because they mirror for me. All right, I forgot about all this stuff, or maybe I wasn't able to fully access like they are because of my own stuff, from growing up. But that doesn't mean that gift isn't inside of me. So I feel like I'm witnessing through them my potential. like, oh, this is possible, that I can wake up to this level of just being in such a state of flow, like all the time. And what would that mean for me in life? But this was fun because we not only had, I'm going to take it off because I like seeing my eyes too. So she did all this part, but then there was like the functional piece of like, well, we can't just have these eyes. You need to be able to fully own it and wear it. And, that way you can do whatever, you need to fly or whatever. So that was like the side that I love, like, because the more what I've experienced, and I'm going all over the place, I'm gonna be okay with that.
Oh, you're great.
The more that I tap into my creativity, the more creativity comes in. And then that shows up in every possible place, like
Totally.
practical ways. Like, for instance, like, all right, how am I going to attach this? So these are just little rubber band hair ties that I just put together and knotted. And it's like, brilliant. Yes. I mean, it just made, took everything to a whole new level. So, yeah, I'm going to pause and see if you have any reflection, and I'll go a little more into that.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks for bringing that in. Yeah, it's interesting when you're talking about just the different parts of creativity where there's sort of these like directed, like, okay, I'm going to sit down and do a creative thing. Like I use a lot of drawing and obviously painting. I have a painting behind me, and I've been very into like all different kinds of crafting, and I was a graphic designer. And so like my life, I live a very creative life from the outside perspective. And all of that is great. And, having like a specific kind of creative practice, so to speak, that we channel ourselves into, like writing or music or dance or visual art or, whatever we're doing, that's wonderful. But I feel like you really touched on another facet of it, which is that creativity is a muscle and we have to flex it. And the more we flex it, the more access we have and familiarity and pathways that we open to actually use it in the rest of our life. And, there's people that say like, oh, I don't have a creative bone in my body. And to that, I say, you're wrong. Humans are by nature creative beings. Just by being here, we are expressing creativity because creating life is like the ultimate creation. And everything that we do uses creativity, problem solving, in order to, solve any problem. We have to kind of have vision and foresight and imagination to what that end result might be. And so tapping into our creativity and having that more flowing really like opens those outlets. And I think like, something as small as like what you explained about the rubber bands is a great example, because I feel like when we're in that creative flow, literally anything is possible and everything becomes this like spontaneous game. And that sort of reminds me of like, I adore going camping. I love it. I would camp like every day of my life if I could. And which I guess I should look at. But one of the things that I love about it is like being able to like problem solve when you have this like very limited set of resources. And there's something like that, this like magical feeling that runs through me of just like being able to problem solve in a unique set of circumstances. And there's something really powerful that can come out of that. So I love that you brought in those kind of like two facets of like directed creativity. And I mean, I hesitate to use the word forced creativity because that doesn't quite feel right, but it's like creative opportunity. Like opportunity presents itself to use our creativity and to problem solve. And so, anyone that has like a business, like an entrepreneur. I know Melissa and I know a lot of entrepreneurs. We're both entrepreneurs ourselves, and that that requires a lot of creative problem solving, even if you're not an entrepreneur, just every day at work, with your family, like just really think and kind of, as you move through the day, start to notice all the different ways that you're using creative problem solving. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, I love the idea of like life is a game, right? I mean, and we can make it a really tragic, scary, intense, stressful game, or we can just like play at this high level where, yeah, I mean, we could be superheroes and anything is possible when we tap into those superpowers. I use the same kind of analogy in my healing practice, because it's a matter of like, when you really want to, if you want to get to that higher level where all of this is our creativity, all of this is here for a higher purpose, not like, oh shit, excuse my language, oh shoot, but like more like, oh wow, this is all part of this higher purpose, high level game that I'm playing. So how can I get in it? And sometimes it's really messy and sometimes it's like gorgeous and beautiful and it's all good. When you shift into that framework, it just brings so much more healing flow. So to go back to this, the liver and the gallbladder energy. So all of Chinese medicine, it really comes down to something very simple. It's about flow. You have this energy grid that is your meridian system, and it connects to every single organ and tissue in your body, and it connects to how those organs like literally their function. Those are directly connected with emotions. So all these different levels. The key to healing is very simple. Keep the energy flowing. It's not that the flow doesn't change, but in general, when you have flow, healing follows, period. It's when we start to get stuck and stagnant that different functional problems show up, that pain shows up. And then at that far end of the spectrum, the opposite of flow is that we literally have stopped energy moving and transformed it into a mass. And what is the key? Like, even if we go that far, this is what I talked about last week with Chantel Levin. I talked about breast cancer and healing from breast cancer. Even when we've gone that far and blocking our, that we have creatively created a tumor. How do we get back to that state of flow? It's all about tapping into what is the purpose? What is it that we've created? What is the message? And when you can open up into that, you return to a state of flow. And even when it's gone that far, healing can still follow. The real power of your practice, and why I'm so excited we're going to be doing an event together next Wednesday, July 21st, and that's going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern, which is What time Pacific? 3 hours.
4,
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
Pacific.
Pacific.
Yes.
And I'll put the link in the comments.
Yes. Good. So when we like actively practice creativity, as you said, we'll use that word, actively choose to consciously tap into our creativity like, through a practice, it helps to open up flow at every level. So not only can it be fun and you can have beautiful works of art like Mara's paintings or my beautiful eyewear, but also that opens up flow in the liver, which is needed for flow everywhere. So flow creates flow. It's like a momentum that can happen when you tap into it. So that's, one of the many reasons. And when you have that flow, because energy, it's about flow, but also energy has that purpose, that consciousness. It's really, really, really challenging to tap into what that higher message is when everything is stuck and not moving. But when you know that feeling, it feels so good. Like you were saying, that kind of that other side. We talked about being really stuck in stress. And we talked about being in kind of like ennui, like, you're not really connected to your soul's purpose. And it's kind of like, I'm dead in a way on the inside. It's hard to tap into higher messages, either of those states. But when you consciously choose to connect into your creativity in different ways and get it moving, whether that's your body moving or it's singing or it's through art, then you're opening up not only the energy flow in your body, but helping you to connect into that intuitive self. Because this is where the creativity comes from. It really, this helps with some of the action steps, but yeah, this is where creativity comes from, our heart, from our intuition.
So in Chinese medicine, is intuition connected with the heart? Is that a connection point?
Yes. Yeah. So that's one of the focuses we're going to have, because we're right now, every organ system has a season. So since I already touched on the liver, this will make so much sense, because we talked about creative expression. And in nature, the embodiment of that energy is springtime, right? That intense, that like need to express in that way that's just so beautiful and transformative. That's the liver energy in our body. The heart is summer. So it's a different space. And we're going to talk about this a whole lot more next Wednesday. But in general, like if you think about spring, that is action. And that's what we're talking about with this choice to consciously, creatively express and connect in life. It's a very forceful action that creates that kind of juice, that forward moving momentum in your body and in all of life. Summer's a little different. Summer is like, look at what I created. Like, this is like, I'm a tree right now. Like, isn't this beautiful? Like, I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy this. So, yeah, like I'm awesome. And there's nothing I have to do. There's no action stuff that's needed. I just need to be. The whole that whole action thing has happened, and now we're just in a place of like reverence and complete. And even it's a high level of compassion, because it does, even if it's like, well, but we aren't as abundant as last year. The higher level is just like, that's okay. We're exactly where we need to be in this right now moment. So yes, the heart is the portal for spirit, for connecting to that intuitive.
I love that. Thank you for that visual. That's so, that's such a potent visual. So yeah, I dropped the link into the comment section. It's a free class. It's called Express Your Heart Through Art. And we will be dropping more into the Chinese medicine side of what Melissa has been sharing about. And then we're going to do an expressive arts practice. We'll actually get an opportunity to see what our heart wants to express. And I just want to say, I've done heart directed classes in the past, and they have just brought forth such beautiful creations. And I also just want to stress that this class is for all levels. Art is something that everyone can do. And this is not about creating some magnificent predetermined masterpiece. This is really about intuitively expressing yourself. And so, this is just for you. This isn't about like impressing anyone or like getting like a good job, you're a good artist, pat on the back. It's only about expression. And so if you're feeling a little nervous, like, oh, I can't create art, let that go, because that's not what this is about. And this is really an opportunity to see what your heart wants to say. It might surprise you.
Beautiful. I can't wait.
Yay.
Everybody next Wednesday.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you there. Okay.
Yay.
Yay. That was great.